The election of a pope is one of the most sacred and historically significant events in the Catholic Church, a process steeped in tradition and divine guidance. The Pope, as the Bishop of Rome, is not only the head of the Vatican, but also the spiritual leader of over 1 billion Catholics worldwide. The election process, known as the Conclave, follows strict procedures that have evolved over centuries. Today, with Pope Francis facing health challenges, the world watches closely, speculating about the next potential leader of the Church. But how does this process work, and how did it begin? Before we proceed, be sure to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to stay informed about captivating insights into history, religion, and global events. The origins of the papacy trace back to St. Peter, one of Jesus Christ's 12 apostles. According to Catholic tradition, Jesus appointed Peter as the leader of his followers, saying, "You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church." Matthew chapter 16, verse 18. Peter's leadership established the papal lineage, and he was martyred in Rome around 64 to 67 AD. Since then, there have been 266 popes, with Pope Francis as the 266th successor of St. Peter. Over the centuries, the role of the Pope has evolved, shaping not only religious matters, but also global history, politics, and culture. Further refinements were made in 1274 during the Second Council of Lyons under Pope Gregory X. To prevent lengthy election delays, some papal vacancies had lasted years, Gregory X introduced the practice of a conclave, derived from the Latin cum clave, meaning with a key. This meant that the cardinal electors were locked inside a secluded area to deliberate and vote until they reached a decision. The strict seclusion minimized political manipulation and expedited the process. Over the centuries, popes refined the conclave's rules, ensuring that the election remained a solemn and prayerful decision rather than a political contest. Today, the conclave is held within the Sistine Chapel in Vatican City. It is convened after the Pope dies, or, as seen in the historic case of Pope Benedict XVI, when a pope resigns. Only cardinals under the age of 80 are eligible to vote. The process begins with the Pro Elegendo Romano Pontifici Mass, a solemn ceremony asking for divine guidance. Following the Mass, the electors proceed into the Sistine Chapel, where they take an oath of secrecy before beginning the voting process. Each cardinal writes the name of their chosen candidate on a ballot, folds it, and places it in a chalice on the altar. To be elected, a candidate must receive a 2/3 majority. After each voting session, the ballots are burned. Black smoke signals that no decision has been made, while white smoke announces the election of a new pope. Once a cardinal has been chosen, he is asked if he accepts the election. If he does, he selects a papal name symbolizing the spiritual direction he wishes to take. The new pope is then led to the Room of Tears, where he dons papal vestments before appearing on the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. The moment the protodeacon cardinal announces, "Habemus Papam," we have a pope, the crowd in St. Peter's Square erupts in celebration. The new pope then delivers his first blessing, known as Urbi et Orbi, or to the city and to the world, marking the beginning of his papacy. Throughout history, the papal election has been a moment of great anticipation, not just for Catholics, but for the world at large. Each new pope brings a unique vision, and leadership style that influences the Church's teachings, diplomacy, and global outreach. Some popes, like Pope Leo XIII, helped define Catholic social teaching, while others, like Pope John Paul II, played a major role in world politics, including the fall of communism in Eastern Europe. The election of a pope is more than just a religious event. It is a transition that shapes the Church's moral and spiritual authority for generations. The modern Catholic Church is more global than ever, with nearly 50% of its followers residing in Latin America, and millions more living in Africa and Asia. This growing diversity has led to calls for a pope who reflects the demographics of today's Church. While most popes in history have been European, the last two conclaves have demonstrated a shift toward leaders with broader international perspectives. Pope Francis, the first Latin American pope, marked a significant break from European dominance. If the next pope were to come from Africa or Asia, it would further emphasize the Church's commitment to its growing global presence. Among the frontrunners to succeed Pope Francis is Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the Vatican's Secretary of State, renowned for his diplomatic skills and efforts in peace negotiations. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, a compassionate leader who has energized the Filipino Catholic community and promoted charitable work. Cardinal Matteo Zuppi, an advocate for humanitarian causes and interfaith dialogue. Cardinal Robert Sarah, a staunch defender of traditional Catholic teachings and spirituality. Each contender has significantly contributed to the faithful, and their election would shape the Church's future, either continuing Francis's legacy or steering toward a different vision. As the world awaits potential developments in Pope Francis's health, one thing remains certain. The election of a new pope is one of the most significant moments in Catholic history. Whether the next pope continues Francis's legacy or steers the Church in a new direction, the decision will shape the faith of millions. With centuries of tradition guiding the process, the conclave remains a solemn and spiritual event, one that, no matter the outcome, is believed to be inspired by the Holy Spirit. All eyes will be on the Vatican when the time comes, waiting once again for that historic moment when white smoke rises from the Sistine Chapel and the words Habemus Papam echo across St. Peter's Square. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth explorations of history, religion, and global events.